The tritone is an incredibly interesting as well as dissonant interval. The tritone comes in the form of either an augmented fourth or a diminished fifth. Let's take a look at the C major scale above the chromatic scale. Notice our tritone, C to F sharp, lies between the fourth and fifth of the C major scale. So if we took our perfect fourth, C to F, and augmented it a half step, we would get an augmented fourth. Or if we took our perfect fifth, C to G, and spelled that F sharp as a G flat, we would have a diminished fifth. This is just the same interval, really just spelled two different ways. Another way of looking at the tritone is to take any note and just quite simply go up 3 whole steps. Thus the word tritone, 3 whole tones. The tritone serves as a function. Its extremely unstable sound wants to move, and either note will either move outwards or inwards. Let's take a look at the chromatic scale again and examine the 2 ways that this tritone can resolve. In both cases, the interval resolved where each note moved opposite of the other. So, if the root note moved down, then the upper note moved up. Or if the root note moved up, the upper note moved down. Another interesting note about the tritone is the fact that it is perfectly symmetrical. First, notice that from the first beat to the next is 6 whole steps or whole tones, and the tritone consists of 3 of those. B to F. Notice that on either side, B to F or F up to B, we have the same amount of distance. Whereas all of the other intervals, if I were to go from B to C sharp, for example, there's a different amount of distance on either side of the interval. On the screen, you will see the C major scale. Notice our tritone B to F is circled in black and belongs to this scale. In fact, all major scales, and actually all scales and modes, contain one tritone. First, we're going to examine the tritone contained in C major, and then we'll point out tritones as we move through the rest of this course. So, knowing that the tritone likes to resolve, we have a clear path to resolution here. There's a half step on either side of this tritone. Let's take a listen to the resolution and then experiment with what kind of chords we can build with the scale degrees that the tritone leaves us. On the screen, you'll see the C major scale. Also, I've circled the C and E. After our tritone resolved, it left us with C and E. On the first line, it's easy to complete the 1 chord by taking C, E, and G. On the second line, we can actually use the A as our root. Doing every other note from A gives us A, C, and since we've run out of room here, the next note up from C is D, and a note after that is E. So that gives us A, C, and E for our 6th chord.